What's up, guys? This is a recap video for UFC 272, Covington versus Masvidal that wrapped up last night. Awesome event. I've got no cigar on me this week because I actually personally had a losing night. I went minus 4 units. We'll get into why that was. I got a little greedy. And it was mostly just two fighters. You could probably guess one of those fighters that let me down. So if you tailed my picks from the best bets video, or at least use some of that advice, you'd probably be up money. I went a little above and beyond on a parlay that ended up getting busted by Tagir Ulanbekov. But the rest of my picks on that best bets video, aside from Edson Barbosa, all came through. Starting with all three props coming through. Jamie Malarkey, Jalen Turner, under 2.5 rounds at minus 165. That came through. Greg Hardy, Sergey Spivak, very, very easy, under 2.5 at minus 165. That came through. And the one that I thought was a little bit too blatantly obvious, which is Umar Nurmagomedov by submission at plus 170. That one came through in devastating fashion very early on. He made quick work of Brian Kelleher. And that just goes to show if something seems a little bit too obvious, a little too good to be true, sometimes you can just go with that. And it's just a confident pick, a good read. So we took that. The money line picks that I liked were Nikolai Negumereanu at plus 115. This is a fight where I slightly edged Nikolai anyways. You know, it wasn't a high confidence pick, but for plus money on a guy that I thought would be at worst 50-50, we came out on the winning side of that one. Rafael dos Anjos at minus 170. The guy looked like he could have been a minus 300 favorite in there, you know, against Renato Moicano, maybe even more than that. So, I mean, that was a fight, though, where all the respect in the world to Renato Moicano, and all the disrespect in the world to the commentators, the referee. I just almost had to mute the commentary. I was just annoyed with Michael Bisping counting out Renato Moicano by like round 3, just saying he shouldn't be in there. I understand the health and safety side of the fighter, but if the doctor says he's good, Renato himself says he's good to fight, and his coach and his team says that he's good to fight, you know, why are you putting this guy down for going out there and fighting his heart out and putting some good strikes on the table in round 5? I know his face is all busted up, but I mean, the commentators and like Michael Bisping, they're a bunch of pussies, man. I don't understand why. Yeah, I mean, we're in the sport for a reason. We're fans of the sport to see these guys be gladiators and fight their heart out, and to try to undermine that with that horrible biased commentary that this guy shouldn't be allowed to fight. You know, I mean, he chose this line of work. He's not a pussy. I mean, let him fight. So kind of a tangent there, but I just annoyed the hell out of me having to hear that just shitty commentary for Michael Bisping counting out a guy who's trying his heart out. But anyways, the point is, Renato Moicano defeated by Rafael dos Anjos. We won that bet. The one that I fell, you know, flat on my face on was the Edson Barbosa pick, plus 145 underdog. You know, I'm wrestling back and forth in my mind if I regret this pick or not. In hindsight, obviously, you know, I regret the pick. He got dominated on the wrestling front. You know, he even got sat down by Bryce Mitchell's punch in round 1 and just absolutely out-grappled all 3 rounds. Showed, you know, on the outside, it looked like he showed very little urgency to get back to his feet. I'm sure he was trying very hard because he knew he was losing the fight. Bryce Mitchell, you can't take anything away. I think even the commentary in that fight saying that Edson Barbosa was lacking urgency to get back to his feet. Maybe he was just getting out-grappled by a better grappler. So all the respect to Bryce Mitchell. I hated to see one of my fan favorites in Barbosa lose that fight, but as a fan of the sport and somebody who likes shaking up the divisions, it's nice to see an undefeated featherweight at a young age and with such great promise. I'm glad to see him win that fight as a fan. As a bettor, I'm mad that I lost that very strong conviction on the underdog pick in that one, but, you know, lesson learned. I guess in hindsight, I probably should have seen that this is a clear path to victory to beat Barbosa. This is why Bryce Mitchell was the favorite. So I'll adjust accordingly. I trust more in Bryce Mitchell now. And anytime our Barbosa is up against a grappler of any experience level, we can probably just move to fade him in that spot. So that was the one loss on the best bets video that I put out. Other than that, I did go with like a progressive parlay scheme on this one. Like I mentioned in the best bets video on Thursday, I put out at the top ticket, Umar Nurmagomedov, Colby Covington, and Kevin Holland at plus 110 parlay odds. That cashed. I put 5 units on that. Then my next line of my progressive parlay, I ended up putting Rafael dos Anjos and Tagir Ulanbekov. And Tagir Ulanbekov, in hindsight, I kind of regret that pick just because I've had to sweat out now 2 times I bet on Tagir, like everybody else, and they were very close fights. Split decision in his last fight against Nascimento. We kind of knew that Tim Elliott was game to kind of do the same thing, make it a close fight. I didn't expect, however, Tim Elliott to get the better of some of the wrestling sequences in this fight. That was very, very impressive. And it was a close fight. I probably scored it like 2-1 for Tagir. But I can see the side for, because the significant strikes, Tagir edged him out in round 1, but because of the takedowns and the control time, he lost round 1 to Tim Elliott. Now, round 2, it was the opposite. I think Tim Elliott actually had like 1 or 2 more significant strikes than Tagir, but Tagir was able to secure takedowns and get control time. So I think that was enough to edge him the second round. I think the third round was all Tagir and Lebekov. So I would have put it 2-1. But it was a close enough fight where, you know, you could make that second round a toss-up, I guess, if you wanted to. And, you know, it was very impressive by Tim Elliott. So I don't regret picking Tagir to win the fight, but from a betting perspective, betting on a guy where I know he's going to be in a close fight, I regret that. So there's kind of 2 sides to how I feel about that fight. Otherwise, yeah, so just with the Edson Barbosa 2-unit loss, the rest of my progressive parlay falling apart outside of the first line, that ended up for the night, and even with all the props and stuff like that, that saved me from, you know, taking more of a loss, but I still had a -4-unit hit. All said and done on just the predictions in general, 9 and 4 on the picks for the night. The losing ones were Agapova, Tagir, Barbosa, and that split decision between Ludovic Klein and Devontae Smith. So, you know, there's some lessons to be learned, like I went over. But all in all, the reads, I think, were pretty on for the night. The best bets video was kind of proof that some of the props were getting a good eye for the props. You know, just some of these, you know, heavy favorites like Tagir and Bekov, we just have to be a little bit more careful in the future of how much trust and how much stock we put into them. But, you know, sometimes you've got good luck, sometimes you have bad luck. It is gambling at the end of the day, but we are working very hard on making good reads week to week. So ready to dive into more research today for the next week's card, which is Ankalaev and Thiago Santos. So I'll be back with another full card breakdown by probably Tuesday or Wednesday on that, and we'll see you guys next time. Leave a comment, leave a subscribe, tell me how you did on the night. You can, if you were on Bryce Mitchell all along and his camo shorts, you can rub that in my face in the comments. I'd love to hear it. So see you guys next time.